A 13-year-old girl stepped off her school bus at the corner of Cornwall and 3 Mile in Detroit. It was just after 3 in the afternoon, a Wednesday. She was wearing what she always wore, a pink jumpsuit. She never made it home. Her name was Ziyah Harris. She was in the 8th grade. She was being raised by her grandmother, a woman named Annette, who had given her everything she could, and she had been, without her family's full knowledge, in contact with a man twice her age. A man who had already been convicted of a sex crime against a child, who was on the Sex Offender Registry, and who had spent 2 years carefully building her trust. His name was Jarvis Butts. He was 40 years old. He had children with Ziyah's biological aunt. He used that relationship, that seat at the family table, to do what predators have always done. He made himself impossible to remove. January 9, 2024, Detroit, Michigan. He took her in. Then he took everything. Before we talk about what happened, we need to talk about who Ziyah was. She was 13 years old, growing up on Detroit's west side, raised by her grandmother, Annette Harris. Annette was the anchor of that household. She was the kind of grandmother who showed up, who fought. Ziyah's father, Mervyn Jennings, was still alive when she disappeared.
While fighting back tears,
I lost 2 sons already in recent.
Mervyn Jennings, father of Ziyah Harris, is pleading for his daughter's return home.
It's a lot, but she was a beautiful child, just a beautiful child. I go out every day. We pass out the flyers. I read the comments. I look at this. I look at that. I'm out. I'm talking about me and the commissioner.
He searched for her. He died in August 2024 while still searching. He never knew what had happened to his daughter. I want you to hold on to that. Because in a story full of calculated evil, there is also a parallel story of a family destroyed incrementally over months and years. And the person responsible had been hiding in plain sight inside that family the entire time. Jarvis Butts was born around 1983. In 2005, when he was 22, he was convicted of a sex crime involving a child. He was placed on Michigan Sex Offender Registry. That is not a footnote. That is the foundation. Butts did not disappear. He formed a relationship with Marquetta, Ziyah's biological aunt. He had children with her. He became part of the family's orbit. His criminal record was not secret. It was a matter of public record. And yet, a man with a prior conviction was allowed regular access to children in his extended family. Butts cultivated a position of trust. He did it slowly, and he did it with more than one child. Before Ziyah, prosecutors say he assaulted a 12-year-old girl in 2013. By the time Ziyah was 11, Butts had begun making contact with her. By 12, that contact was systematic. By 13, a calculated grooming campaign had been underway for 2 years. What prosecutors presented was not a story of spontaneous violence. It was a documented 2-year pattern of behavior. In 2022, Butts initiated communication with her. The tone was calculated. He explicitly instructed her to delete their conversations. In court, the content of those messages was summarized. He also tells her he had taken something of hers, something personal. By 2023, Ziyah was 13 years old. She was pregnant. Investigators believe Butts was responsible. When this became apparent, Butts's search history included queries about terminating a pregnancy. He searched for whether drinking red antifreeze could end a pregnancy. This is not a man panicking. This is a man calculating. Let's look at how he handled the investigation.
Don't forget, be there before. Yeah, that was when she sent it. I was supposed to pick them up that day. But I never responded.
You did?
What I did?
So then, the next one, she responded.
If you send the message.
So I can delete your number.
No, I don't. Like I said, they sitting there.
Hold on. Look, before you explain it, just look at the times. They back to back.
Oh yeah.
And we in school. And then right here, she tells you to respond. Okay, that's you. That's received.
I did receive.
On the morning of January 9th, 2024, News Harris went to school. At 3 in the afternoon, she stepped off her bus at Cornwall and 3 Mile. Text messages show Butts communicating with her after she got off the bus. That is where the digital trail ends. She was 13, carrying a pregnancy, communicating with a man who searched for ways to harm her. She never arrived home. Listen to more of his interrogation.
To the snacks, whatever the case may be. And I know she was getting older, so she was into certain things. Like I come up, she had little fake nails and shit on. And I know grandma wasn't.
So why just not give it to her then?
Earn it.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So the value, so it's a mentor thing.
Yeah, so earn it.
So you mentor. Would you talk to them about anything? Or?
Depending on, certain little things, I would ask them how school would be. Nothing serious, like I say. I wouldn't pry too much in the family business. That'd be kind of thing. But like I said, everything that you had to do, you had to earn it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So if you wanted something, earn it. You appreciate it more. So that was my whole thing on that. So me, I used to just give it to them. They would take advantage. Every time I pull up, you gotta do that, like this and that. And it's a lot of kids over there, so I can't keep giving
not
everybody $5, and that looks real bad if I just give you money every time you have asked for it or she asks for it and I can't give it to everybody else. So therefore, you guys want something, I got a job for y'all. If I have something for you to do, I'll call and let you know. Every time they come in, it would be $25 a piece, depending on.
Okay. So, all right. So, I'm gonna ask you about this area real quick.
Let me see that. Confirm that photo. Make sure we're talking about the same person.
What's that?
That's Zaza. What's her government name?
Ziyah.
Ziyah.
Okay. You know about when that picture might have been taken or where?
I don't.
Does she look like that last time you saw her?
Not at all.
What she look like the last time you saw her?
She had longer braids. Braids.
Any color in her braids?
Not that I know of. Matter of fact, she was getting her hair did the last time I saw her.
Okay.
So it wasn't even done, so I don't even know what it was. But
you talking about back and forth between the houses? Getting her hair did?
Last time I was there in the basement.
So she wasn't back and forth?
That day, no. The last time I seen her, she was getting her hair did. Yes, she was. She was back and forth because the dude, little sweetie, he stayed next door. So she was going back and forth with him next door, but they were in the basement at the grandmother's house getting her hair did.
Ziyah was reported missing. Months of public searching followed. Her grandmother, Annette, was at the center. Her father, Mervyn Jennings, continued searching until his own death. Evidence emerged in pieces. Clothing near 7 Mile and Berg. School ID near 7 Mile and Evergreen. These trace a terrible path. Family and investigators believe her body was disposed of near the Rouge River. As of late March 2026, no remains have been recovered. Jarvis Butts was arrested in 2024, charged with second-degree murder and CSC charges. 6 victims. Age range, 4 to 13. The registry entry was there the whole time. The preliminary examination determined the evidence was sufficient to proceed. Judge Aliyah Sabri presided over an extraordinary hearing. Let's look at the evidence presented and the judge's forceful remarks. Judge Sabri said the community failed.
Ziyah, We are standing here today in court on January 9th, 2025, which is 1 year, almost to the minute, the last time Ziyah was seen on a camera in the city of Detroit, which is on the screen now. The last time that she was seen was on January 9th, 2024 at 2:56, getting off of the bus at 3 Mile Drive in Cornwall and walking down Bedford. She was walking towards what she didn't know at the time would be Jarvis Butts and her ultimate murder by him. We take that moment in time and then go to Cordell Wright's testimony where he testified that they picked Ziyah up on their way back to their shop at 9000 Connor, and they proceeded with her to that location. We have Jarvis Butts' sister's testimony, Tijuana Butts, who did say that she saw a young girl with a very descriptive and distinct jacket getting in and out of that car, the white Cadillac Escalade. That would have been before Jarvis, Cordell, and Ziyah departed for Ypsilanti. We have Sergeant O'Rourke's testimony as to his cell phone locations based on cell tower information and the historical call detail records, which placed them consistent going out to Ypsilanti. And then we have Cordell's testimony getting them back to the shop. Talacia Moore also testified to seeing Ziyah in Ypsilanti with Cordell and Jarvis. Cordell, as we know, testified that he had to get back to his house based on his tether hours by 9 p.m. And that is the last time that anyone who is not Jarvis Butts would see Ziyah Harris alive. From the shop, we proceed out to the Park Crest Inn, where Jarvis Butts checked into a hotel at 9:30 p.m. And Sergeant O'Rourke's testimony corroborates this, placing his phone in the area of that 20,000 Harper address at around midnight till early in the next morning on the 10th, using the data that you see on the screen in those times. Recapping January 9th, this is the last time that we have any sort of communication from Ziyah. There was, if you look at those messages that Sergeant Jones went through and read, just between Ziyah and Jarvis, there was consistent and constant communication up until January 9th. There's also no messages from Jarvis after Ziyah goes missing on the 9th, looking for her, seeing where she is, trying to find her, trying to help, as anyone should do at that time, her family locate her. There's no messages to her phone, to that Text Now account from Jarvis Butts' phone. Her legal guardian and grandmother, Annette Harris, has not seen any social media posts. The OIC of the case, Sergeant Jones, has not seen anything for a total of 1 year now. The Lieutenant George Harris, who was involved in the investigation in the first month, didn't see anything that he saw from social media or Text Now after the 9th. Jarvis Butts on the 9th, we know, borrowed Latricia Johnson's car overnight, which was unusual. He borrowed that and then again borrowed it on the 10th or 11th. We know that Ziyah's glasses were found in that car sometime after the 10th or 11th when Latricia Johnson was at that shop and Jarvis Butts snatches them out of her hand. From the Park Crest Inn and from January 9th, we go out to 7 Mile and Burke. This is by far the most important location in this case because we know that the defendant spent from 11:40 p.m. on the 10th to 1:34 a.m., nearly 2 hours in that area, in that wooded area where the Rouge River runs through. And to give, this is from the slideshow of the scene photos that were taken at 7 Mile and Burke. This is the area where it's the people's theory Jarvis Butts did at least one of two things. Either killed Ziyah at 7 Mile and Burke, but at the very least dumped her body in this location. We know this because of the evidence that was found there, specifically the black hoodie, which you see in this photo here, as well as the pink bodysuit and the shoes that we confirmed, or that are hers, based on the picture that the OIC received from her brother. And those items were collected. The black hoodie and pink jumpsuit were tested. And importantly, Rion Green testified as to which swabs were which. This analysis here and hypothesis and results pertains to the right shoulder swab on Ziyah Harris's black hoodie that she took that picture in when she was in school on January 9th. The one, importantly, that Annette Harris testified was in good condition when Ziyah left. We will get to pictures of that, but this shows that Ziyah Harris's DNA is there, as well as Jarvis. And importantly, this is one of the stain swabs that was positive, not just for blood, but human blood based on the hemotrace results. In the next one, we have, this pertains to not the stain swabs, but the regular swab that Rion Green testified was a wearer ID swab. Importantly here, Jarvis Butts' DNA from that swab that would have been taken around the neck of that sweater, or the end of the arms of that sweater, is there with very strong support, and of course, Ziyah's DNA is there as well. And when we look at that sweater, specifically through the PowerPoint photos that Rion Green took and put together, we can see that there is a lot of markings on this. If the court looks closely on this, and I did, there are 15 phenol-positive stain markings on this sweater. This is just the front of that sweater. And of course, the court paid attention and saw the markings or the damage to the hood, that it is the people's theory would have been stab wounds or something to that effect that happened when Jarvis Butts murdered Ziyah Harris. We also have to look, and it goes to the premeditation element as well as everything he did before, at Jarvis Butts' actions, specifically what he did to attempt to conceal or cover up his role in the murder of Ziyah Harris. First, we have the glasses that he made sure he grabbed directly from Latricia Johnson's hands when shown, that are consistent with the glasses she had in the photo from the 9th when she was in school. We have the jail call to Cordell Wright to get that phone of his out of Miss Davis's car and into someone else's possession, which he testified he tried to do, but was ultimately unsuccessful. And then Sergeant Jones testified that they ultimately did recover that phone from Miss Davis's car. There is the phone call to Latricia Johnson, which was played when she was testifying, saying to get anything he touched clean, to clean anything he touched, to get anything, don't drive her car, drive his mom's car, which is important because when you combine her testimony of when Jarvis Butts took her car, those 2 times on the 9th and 10th, and then either the next day or that same day, it's important because that car is the car that he transported Ziyah Harris out to 7 Mile and Bird to either dump her body or to murder and then dump her body there. And we can go through all of the lies that Jarvis Butts told any detective or any officer that he testified to, but in highlighting those, he denies to Detective Mays that he was with Ziyah at all or had talked to Ziyah at all on the 9th, denies ever picking her up, denies to, even when confronted with the January 9th messages, he said that it wasn't him initially. Obviously, we've heard in the subsequent interviews, specifically on June 1st with the OIC, he came off of that. He told Shannon Harris that Ziyah texted him on the 9th. She says that he never did that. And we have some of their messages in the record as well. He denies going to a hotel and denies going to a hotel with Ziyah Harris and denies having any sort of sexual relationship with Ziyah, even though the text now messages completely prove that that is an absolute lie. We also have his motive. We know from Sergeant Jones that he was going to be going into custody supposedly on January 9th for until roughly December, I believe, is what Sergeant Jones testified to. We know that that date was adjourned because he said in his interview that he had a legal issue. He said it was out in Clinton Township, but I submit to this court that that's not the legal issue he was talking about. He was talking about the legal issue he would have had if Ziyah had been left alive. He had to make sure that when he was in custody that she was not going to give birth to any child of his. That's his motive in this case. That's why that's January 9th. Sentencing date was adjourned to February 7th so he could take care of that potential legal issue. He was being told consistently by Ziyah throughout the months that she might be pregnant, and then on 11/27, she says to him that it's hard to do this gym shit with this baby. Less than a week or 2 weeks later, he's searching on Google how to abort a baby, how to not just abort a baby or get an abortion, but how to do it at home, how to get rid of that without any medical professional or any responsible mandated reporter knowing about it. We clearly have that motive. And obviously, Judge, one of the big issues in this case is proving that Ziyah Harris is dead without having a body. On January 9th, she vanished off the face of the earth. There is absolutely no evidence after the 9th that she was alive, that she was sending messages to anyone. Her, again, legal guardian had not seen her since the 9th. No one else, officers, friends, family have seen her since the 9th. There's no social media posts reviewed by any officer to this day that would indicate she was alive. There's no messages, no further messages on text now after the 9th. There's a full and complete stop of any activity that would indicate she was alive. And Judge, I submit to this court that if that were the evidence that we had at this point, that would be enough at this point for a probable cause determination to show that she is in fact deceased today. However, there is more than that. Her hoodie found at 7 Mile and Bird, which we just saw a photo of, has Jarvis Butts' DNA on it and Ziyah Harris's DNA on it, and it is covered in blood, indicating that something traumatic happened to her. And all the other evidence shows that something traumatic happened to her at the hands of Jarvis Butts. And then we go back to his motive. Was told by Ziyah that she was pregnant, searched all of the home abortion procedures, and was going to go into the Wayne County Jail until December, which we just passed, of 2024. Judge, I submit to this court that the evidence that you have heard over the last 4 days proves not only that Ziyah Harris is currently deceased, but also that she was murdered by the defendant, who had plenty of motive to do so, had plenty of opportunity to do so, and he did that. And I will note that the defendant in this case, Jarvis Butts, does not get a break because he successfully hid her body. The evidence to a probable cause determination, which the question is she probably dead, and did the defendant probably do that? Both questions are answered with a yes, based on all of the evidence that you have seen. I would reserve any further argument for rebuttal. Thank you.
What I have heard over the last 4 days and 5 days total is that several people failed her. I don't know where her mother is. I don't know anything other than that she was forced to live in a home where she was not protected or given the adequate attention and love. I don't know where her father is. I don't have any mention of him in her life, no presence. To Cordell, aka King, and all the men who saw Jarvis Butts hanging out and always around these young girls, including Ziyah, and his 9-year-old daughter going up to the shop to clean up the shop. The school counselor who never showed up, or the person who was supposed to show up if that counselor was absent, after Ziyah was on the floor on the day she went missing, saying that she needed to speak to someone and speak to a counselor. There's no mention of CPS, but I wonder what their involvement was over the years, because this was not just a one-year thing. There are text messages at least from 2022. To her adoptive grandmother, Annette Harris, whose testimony, in my opinion, was very questionable. I understand why the people put her on the stand to establish Ziyah's residence and the houses on Bedford and the regular routine, to establish also that Ziyah was not a runaway child, that she was not a bad kid. I do believe she adopted Ziyah. I do believe that she had 6 kids in the house. I believe that Ziyah had on a dark hoodie the day she went missing, and that she had on red and black Nikes that day. What is hard to believe is that the defendant never came into the house as she testified. And there was also a minor that testified that he did as well. Text messages that show between him and Ziyah that he did. In the basement, saying he was going to the shower, stealing her panties. He was always lurking around that house and asking for Janiyah and Ziyah, from what I know. I even thought about the breakfast routine. and saying that all the kids like eating breakfast at school. Did they have a choice? I don't know. But to always send those girls up there to clean up the shop raises questions. And how were there 2 women in that house who have birthed children themselves who did not notice that Ziyah was pregnant, and I believe she was, and not having her period anymore? But then after hearing text messages today, begging Jarvis for pads as if she didn't have anyone else to give them for her. And what stood out the most was when Annette Harris stood on the stand, and she learned around 6 p.m. that Ziyah did not come home from school, and said she looked around for her and decided to wait until the next morning to call the police. Without a tear, without emotion, or any expression of being devastated. And to her Aunt Shannon, who also showed no emotion, expression of being devastated from Ziyah going missing. She stated that she had friends help look for Ziyah, but was directed to just wait until the morning to call the police. A grown woman who likely suspected something strange going on didn't feel the need to call the police either. They were both able to go to sleep at night without hearing from Ziyah or having any indication that she was coming home that night. And of course, the defendant, who I will get to in a minute. I don't know who else failed Ziyah, but the community did. As far as the people establishing probable cause, I will focus on count 1, as it's been stated that there is no contention with counts 2 and 3. In count 3, I will amend based off of the motion and testimony I heard that Ziyah was 12 and not 13 at the time that Jarvis Butts had sexual intercourse with her. The prosecution is correct. You do not have to have a body to establish first-degree premeditated murder. It would have been a much shorter exam had her body been found, but this is where we are. In the last 365 days, no text messages. We all heard today and yesterday that she was very active and frequently texted. No social media for a year. We heard through testimony that she was also active on social media. No phone calls, which she was also able to do according to testimony. No physical sighting of her by anyone. She never came back to school. No one has seen her. Medical records dated from July 2014 to October 2023 indicated that she had no life-threatening medical issues that would lead to a natural cause of death. The black hoodie found in the area of 7 Mile and Bird with her DNA and blood on it. The holes in the hoodie consistent with some sort of struggle, violence, or weapon being used. And we know that there were no holes in that hoodie when she wore it to school. We saw a picture of her in a black hoodie on her last day that everyone saw her. I do believe her grandma testified truthfully about the sweatshirt that she had on and that was practically new. And the border agent who said that no evidence of animals would have destroyed the clothing or the shoes to possibly lead to animals tearing up that hoodie. The clear glasses found in the blue Nissan the day after she went missing. The behavior of the defendant when he snatched those glasses. They looked exactly like the glasses she had on in her last picture, according to the witness. The shoes that her brother described as the same shoes that were found also in the area of 7 Mile and Bird.
In February 2026, Butts entered guilty pleas. Second-degree murder and 5 counts of CSC. Prosecutor Kim Worthy negotiated a condition. Butts had to give a statement about Ziyah's body. The deal was truth for time. A 35-year minimum was locked in. But did the truth provide closure? Listen to the courtroom reaction.
That day will forever haunt me. Because I go back to why was I there? Why didn't I know? Why was there no sign? However, I'm a firm believer in God. And I do believe that sometimes we are put in places that we don't want to be in, even if we don't know why. And I feel like I was put there that day to be a voice for Ziyah and for every other child that my brother has harmed. I believe that Ziyah's story brought a lot of the other victims out to the forefront. And sitting in the courtroom today, there are many Ziyahs and many other victims that are unfortunately being harmed right now at this moment. And people are turning a blind eye to it. People are not paying it as a community and protecting our children from monsters, from the very people who are supposed to love them and protect them. I don't know why my brother has turned into the person that is in this courtroom today. This is not who I remember as a child. I remember the little boy that used to follow me everywhere, that always wanted to protect me, even though I'm older than him. My brother knows that I've been a victim of sexual assault. My brother knows that I've been molested at a very young age. And he knows the pain it caused. I can't understand why he would want to cause that to an innocent child. Not just Ziyah, but to his own children that have his face. I hope that every victim and my niece and nephew can heal from the things that my brother has done for the last 2 years. I've been drugged on social media. My family has been put all over a lot of platforms, including my children, my grandchildren. People are posting places, the place that I work, and I don't work with children. I work with children because I had a hard time growing up. We did not have everything growing up, but we did have a grandmother that loved us and cared for us. And I don't know if something happened to my brother when he was young. However, that is no excuse for what he has done. He could have gotten help. He could have said something to someone. Being a victim myself only made me want to protect kids, not harm them in any kind of way. I'm hoping that he has a heart somewhere deep in there to tell where Ziyah's body is, because she was innocent. My brother stole so many children's innocence. And he's way more than old enough to know better. I hope that he can remember how we were raised. I hope that he can remember that he was loved. I hope that he gives the people that love her, closure in bringing her body so she can be laid to rest, because she deserves that. She's an innocent child. Her soul should not be roaming the earth. If for no one else, for her. If for no one else, his children. And this is a hard thing to do because this is my brother. And I'm not going to stand here and say that I don't love him, because I do. And I always will, and I want him to know that. And I hope that if he loves me, that he would do what's right. I watched him sit behind a mask. I watched him hold his head down. You made your bed, you gotta lay in it. Stand in it. Do what you have to do. You did what you did knowing. What you've done has just struck the community. I had to go back to work the day after I testified, 2 days after I testified. And the only thing I could think of was the children that I interact with every day that I love and will protect as my own. How are they going to see me? Because of him. Fortunately enough for me, I have a good support system, and the children I work with know who I am. The staff that I work with know who I am. And the people that I come encounter with every day knows who I am. So it's nothing that anyone can say on social media. Brother, look up at me. I want you to know I do love you. And that will never change. But you have to do what's right. You have to do what's right. I can't turn off my feelings. I hate who he's become. I hate what he's done. You have to do what's right. So,
because his actions leaving lifelong scars. Let his consequences be so no other child faces what I have. Thank you for listening and considering how this changed and impacted my life. Here is Brian.
Thank you. You can return to your seat. Thank you.
Dear Honorable Judge, I want to begin by expressing my deepest gratitude to the prosecuting attorneys and Sergeant Shannon Jones. I would not be writing this letter today if it wasn't for the tragic loss of Ziyah Harris. I often went many years without thinking of Jarvis Butts. Now seeing his image repeatedly, I have been overwhelmed with emotional and mental distress. I'm writing this in a deep place of vulnerability. I'm unsure if I will be able to attend sentencing as the toll on my mental health is immense. People cannot see the turmoil inside of me. I've been hospitalized and many days I cannot get out of bed. And the last thing I want to do is suffer a panic attack in a courtroom. I want to be unequivocal. I believe in rehabilitation and in breaking the cycles of abuse. I believe people can change when they take responsibility and truly commit to doing the work. However, Mr. Butts is already a convicted sex offender when he abused me in 2014. He understood exactly what he was doing. He understood the harm. He understood the potential consequences of already being a convicted sex offender and of being convicted again. Despite knowing the harm and having every opportunity to stop, he continued to abuse children. Mr. Butts has avoided accountability far too long. I urge you to see this as a chance to end the cycle of abuse. Mr. Butts must never have the chance to be free again, because if he is, there is a great chance he will continue to abuse children in his old age. We have a chance in this court, in this moment, to protect others and break the cycle of abuse once and for all. I'm asking you to consider the future we are trying to safeguard. Even if the court accepts a sentencing recommendation and plea agreement, which I sincerely hope it does not, I'll be present at every parole hearing, no matter where life takes me. Thank you again to all for seeking justice.
You were once someone I called that until you did what you did. You took someone I really loved, someone I called sister, my favorite cousin, my best friend, my everything. You changed the way I dress, the way I think. You even changed my sexuality. You did very hurtful things to me. I didn't take the trouble you caused me. I no longer look at you as a father figure, no longer as a hero, but now I look at you as a monster who caused me trauma and made me look at men different.
Your Honor, she was completed. Thank you. All right, Mr. Plea, who's going next?
Judge, I don't believe that we have anyone left to make any more statements.
Okay.
Would you like us to speak now, or did you want us?
Well, again, Mr. Butts is here today to be sentenced for 6 different cases today. Mr. Butts entered guilty pleas on all 6 of his cases, and there's sentence agreements negotiated on each one of the 6 files. Of course, it goes without saying that the offenses that Mr. Butts is here to be sentenced on are of the most serious nature. Mr. Butts has a criminal history dating back to 1997. He spent time in Michigan Department of Corrections previously for a criminal sexual conduct conviction following a plea he entered in 2005. It's noteworthy that he was paroled sometime in 2012 and almost immediately returned to his criminal behaviors upon being paroled. And Mr. Butts, I hope that you have truly listened to all of the people who spoke here in open court and the impact that your inexcusable and horrendous behaviors have had on the lives of so many people. Mr. Butts, you're going to have many years to sit and dwell on your horrible actions. And it's often noted that justice is blind, but eventually, Mr. Butts, justice sees everything. As noted by both sides, these 6 cases are very complex with a lot of moving parts, and I know that the prosecutor's office and the defense team spent a lot of hours working on resolutions to these 6 matters, and I wanted to thank them for their efforts. I'm also hopeful that although the court could never make the victims of any of these crimes truly whole again, hopeful that the lengthy prison sentence being imposed today is going to bring about some needed closure for all of the victims and their families so that they can begin the healing process. So I'll go case by case, Mr. Butts. I'm going to start with file 25000-21801FH. And Mr. Butts, for the offense of homicide, murder, and 2nd degree of Ziyah Harris, the court is going to sentence you consistent with the sentence agreement 35 to 60 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. You're not to have any verbal, written, electronic, or physical contact with Annette Harris or any family members of Ziyah Harris. It's either directly through yourself or through any other third party. That includes all forms of social media as well. You're not to be within 500 feet of the residence, school, or place of employment. I have to assess $130 for the crime victim's assessment on that file, and I have to assess $68 state costs on that file as well. As a term and condition of that sentence agreement, you're also to make a truthful statement regarding the location of the body of Ziyah Harris. With regard to court costs and attorney's fees, I'll address that at the end once I've completed all of the files. Moving next into file 24002-23601FH. Mr. Butts, for the offense of criminal sexual conduct in 2nd degree, person under 13 defendant 17 or older, the court is going to sentence you consistent with the sentence agreement to 10 to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. You are going to be required to complete sexual abuse prevention programming or other treatment when you're referred by your agent. You are going to be required to register under the Michigan Sex Offender Registration Act and comply with all requirements of that act. You must provide a completed copy of the Michigan Sex Offenders Registration form to your field agent on your first in-person report following vacating your residence. Any address change, address verification, or change in your status with an institution of higher education. At each address change or verification period, you must present your Michigan driver's license or operator's license or personal identification card to the field agent at your first in-person contact. On that file, you're not to have any verbal, written, electronic, or physical contact with Michaela, M-I-K-A-Y-L-A, Jackson, or any of her family members, either directly or through any other third party, again, including all forms of social media, not to be within 500 feet of their residence, school, or place of employment. Again, I'm required to assess $130 to the crime victim's rights. assessment and the $68 state cost. It's also required that there's lifetime electronic monitoring pursuant to MCL 750520. And again, I'll address court costs and attorney's fees at the end. Moving now to file number 24006232201FC. Mr. Butts, for the offense of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree, person under 13, defendant 17 or older, the court will sentence you to 10 to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. Again, you're going to be required to complete sexual abuse prevention programming or other treatment when you're referred by your field agent. You're going to be required to register under the Michigan Sex Offenders Registration Act, to comply with all the requirements of the Act. Provide a copy of the Michigan Sex Offenders Registration form to your field agent on your first in-person report following vacating your residence, any address change, address verification, or change in your status with an institution of higher education. At each address change verification period, you must present your driver's license or state identification card to the agent of your first in-person contact. Again, you're not to have any verbal, written, electronic, or physical contact with Paris Bryant or her family members. It's either directly through yourself or through any other third party. You're not to be within 500 feet of their residence, school, or place of employment. Again, I'm assessing $130 for the crime victim's assessment and $68 for the state costs. Again, he's going to have to comply with lifetime electronic monitoring pursuant to MCL 750520. All right, moving into file 25000240101FH, again for the offense of criminal sexual conduct, second degree, person under 13, defendant 17 or older. The court is going to sentence you consistent with the sentence agreement to 10 to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. Again, you're to complete sexual abuse prevention programming or other treatment when you're referred by your agent. Again, you're required to register under the Michigan Sex Offenders Registration Act and comply with all requirements of the Act, which have been stated here previously on the record. You're not to have any verbal, written, electronic, or physical contact with AHLECHE, Dinwiddie, DINWIDDIE, or her family members, either directly through yourself or through any other third party. Not to be within 500 feet of the residence, school, or place of employment. Again, assessing $130 for the crime victim's assessment, $68 for the state costs. Again, there's mandatory lifetime electronic monitoring pursuant to 750520N. Moving into file 25004478001FH for the offense of criminal sexual conduct in the third degree, person 13 through 15. The court is going to sentence you consistent with the sentence agreement 10 to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. Again, you're to comply or complete, sexual abuse prevention programming or other treatment when you're referred by your field agent. Again, you'll be required to register as under the Michigan Sex Offenders Registration Act. Terms and conditions have been noted on the record previously. You're not to have any verbal, written, electronic, or physical contact with Jaylyn, Jaylynn White, common spelling, or her family, either directly or through any other third party. Again, you're not to be within 500 feet of their residence, school, or place of employment. Again, assessing $130 for the crime victim's assessment and $68 for the state costs. Additionally, you're to submit to HIV testing and complete counseling associated with HIV and AIDS, and you waive confidentiality and allow test results and medical information obtained from that test to be released to the court. And lastly, with regard to file 25006461101FC for the offense of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree, person under 13, defendant 17 or older. Again, consistent with the sentence agreement, the court will sentence you to 10 to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. Again, you're to complete sexual abuse prevention programming or other treatment when you're referred by your agent. Again, you're going to be required to register under the Michigan Sex Offenders Registration Act and comply with all requirements of the Act, which has been stated previously on the record. You are not to have any verbal, written, electronic, or physical contact with Ziyah, J-A'_N-I-Y-A-H, Butts, or her family, either directly or through any other third party. You're not to be within 500 feet of the residence, school, or place of employment. Crime victims assessment, I'm going to assess the amount of $130 and state costs in the amount of $68. Again, lifetime electronic monitoring pursuant to MCL 750520. So defense has requested waiver of fees regarding court costs and attorney's fees. Do people have a position?
No position, leave it in the court's discretion.
All right, considering the lengthy prison sentence that the court is going to impose and the possibility of restitution being an issue, full waive court costs and attorney's fees, considering Mr. Butts is going to be spending foreseeable future in the Michigan Department of Corrections.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, jail credit. Let's talk about jail credit. All right. Jail credit on file ending file 24223601. Mr. Butts will receive jail credit of 707 days. Jail credit on docket 24623201 will receive jail credit of 531 days. Docket number 25021801 will receive jail credit of 531 days. Docket 2500241101 will receive jail credit of 531 days. Docket 254478 will receive jail credit of 255 days. And lastly, docket 256461101 will receive jail credit of 167 days to his respective Michigan Department of Corrections sentences, noting that the terms and conditions of this agreement are that all of those sentences are to run concurrently. All right. Attorneys, before I get to appellate rights, turn it over to you, Mr. McPeace.
Thank you, Judge. Just for the record, on file ending in 218, second-degree murder conviction, I know I placed this on the record last time, but all terms of that plea agreement have been satisfied.
Yes, thank you. All right. And Mr. Makepeace, were there counts being dismissed?
Oh. Yes. Ms. A.P.A. Ripley is more than prepared.
Very good. Ms. Ripley, if you could just kindly articulate, you can just do the last four of the respective file number with regard to the counts that are being dismissed consistent with the agreement.
Yes, Judge. Under case 2236, people are dismissing counts 2, 3, and 4 and withdrawing the habitual offender fourth offense notice. Under case 6232, people are agreeing to dismiss counts 1 and 3 and withdrawing the notice to enhance habitual offender fourth offense notice. On case ending in 0218, people are moving to dismiss counts 2, 3, and 4 and the notice to enhance habitual fourth offender notice. As to docket number 0241, people are moving to dismiss counts 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and withdrawing the notice to enhance habitual fourth offense notice. And docket number 4478, people are moving to dismiss count 2 and withdrawing notice to enhance sentence habitual offender fourth offense notice. And finally, in docket number 6461, people are moving to dismiss counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And hold on, that one's not right, Judge.
What file are you looking at, Ms. Ripley?
6461. I have it right here. Yeah, it's count 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. He pled to count 3 and withdraw the habitual offender fourth offense notice.
That was it, correct?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. To defense, I presume no objection?
No, that's correct.
All right, those counts and enhancements will be dismissed and or withdrawn consistent with the agreements. Mr. Butts, you do have some appellate rights in counsel. Has he been afforded with an appellate rights form?
He has been assigned.
And did we give him an appellate rights form for each one of his files?
Yes.
Great. All right, for purposes of the record, Mr. Butts, because you entered pleas with regard to your 6 cases, you would have 42 days to file an application requesting leave to appeal your various convictions and sentences if you wanted to do that. Mr. Butts, if you wanted an attorney to assist you with those applications and you could not afford an attorney, you have to request an attorney within 42 days before we're going to appoint you an attorney, provide them with portions of the record and any transcripts needed to assist you with those applications. So, Mr. Butts, you will go with the sheriffs here today. They will make sure that you make your way back to the Wayne County Jail. and ultimately you'll find your way to the appropriate Michigan Department of Corrections facility. That being noted, attorneys, is there anything additional for today's record?
Not for the people, Judge.
Not on behalf of the defense, Your Honor.
All right, we're all going to exit this courtroom in an orderly fashion. You're going to listen to the sheriffs in Brown. They're going to direct traffic with regard to getting out. What I would say is don't move until you're directed to move. Thank you. That'll conclude.
On March 12, 2026, Butts stood for sentencing. 35 to 60 years. It was not quiet. Grief finally had a room to stand in, and a man to stand before. The sentence mattered, but Ziyah still hadn't come home. Witness the chaos that erupted.
And that Harris, ANNETTEHARRIS.
Thank you, ma'am. And there are clinics there if needed, whenever you're ready.
To the Honorable Judge Nicholas John Hathaway in the Wayne County Circuit Court. Good morning. Thanks and thank the court for giving me the opportunity to speak as I stand here before you to address the concerns that me and my family have. It has been 2 years and 2 months since I reported Ziyah missing. I want you to know that my life will never be the same. My family's life will never be the same. Without Ziyah, and every day that I wake up with her, I wake up feeling depressed. It's another day without her. I love her and I miss her dearly. I can't tell her that because her life was I can't tell her that because her life was taken from her. Words cannot express just how much me and my family really miss and love Ziyah. This has impacted my life and my family's life. There are days when I can't, when I don't want to get out of bed. I wake up feeling depressed. I don't want to talk to anybody, to anyone, just getting out of bed. To do the basic everyday things that I miss, I'm sorry. I don't want to get out of bed. I wake up feeling depressed. I don't want to talk to anyone. Just getting out of bed to do the basic everyday things that I need to get done. This has affected my health. I am seeing more than one doctor about my health, including seeing a therapist. I don't feel safe in my home. My address and my phone number has been put on social media. People have been driving by, taking pictures of my home. I have been threatened. My family have been threatened. Pictures taken of me and my family following me in my car. Pictures posted. Setting up GoFundMe raises in Ziyah's name without my permission.
And this has also affected me financially. Other people doing podcast shows, emailing me. I don't know. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Take your time now.
Shut up.
Anybody else wants to leave? There is a courtroom, 206 down the hallway. You can observe this proceeding. You can't go.
He told me that I don't come into my home.
Let's step out. Too late to see this. Let's go. Let's go, man. In the red and in the black. Let's go. Let's go.
Please remain quiet.
Quiet in the court!
Shut up.
Let's go. Wait.
I'm sorry.
Right, an additional reminder, if you're going to have difficulty controlling yourself, now would be a good time to leave.
Sir, and you two just go. Ma'am,
I'm sorry, were you through, ma'am?
No, Judge, I'm going to finish reading the written statement for her.
Oh, very good. You can return to your seat now. Mr. Makepeace, you can let her get situated and then you can proceed.
Yes, Judge. Thank you.
"14 days after sentencing, Jarvis Butts was found dead in his cell, apparent suicide. His cousin Roxy called it a cowardly way out. He did not serve the sentence. He took one final thing, the certainty of where Ziyah is buried. Here is the news report. Ziyah Harris has not been recovered.
We begin with a stunning development in a case that captured headlines nationwide. The Detroit man convicted of murdering 13-year-old Ziyah Harris was found dead in prison this morning.
A spokesperson from the Michigan Department of Corrections told us Jarvis Butts died by suicide as state police follow up with an investigation.
Welcome to CBS News Detroit at 5. I'm Terrence Friday.
And I'm Rochelle Graham in for Shayna Humphreys. Back in February, Butts pleaded guilty to the murder of Ziyah Harris, along with 5 separate sexual assault cases. CBS News Detroit's Jack Springate spoke to one of Ziyah's family members. Jack.
Well, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office told us after his sentencing that Jarvis Butts needed to submit a truthful statement regarding Ziyah Harris's body, but that isn't being made public. However, they did say the statements were crucial in bringing closure to some members of Ziyah's family.
He, as well as other family members and the public, have been waiting, for 2 years now to know, where Ziyah is.
However, Ziyah's adult cousin, Roxy, says she's still waiting. She claims the only family members who saw the statement are the ones Ziyah lived with when she went missing.
They apparently only have knowledge of that information.
That was on January 9th, 2024, when the 13-year-old was last seen getting off her bus on Detroit's east side. Police conducted numerous searches, but they never found her body. Butts pleaded guilty to murdering her on February 12th of this year. Butts' death comes 2 weeks after a judge sentenced him to up to 60 years in prison for murdering Ziyah. He was also serving time for sex crimes against 4 other survivors.
I did get to talk to one survivor today. She expressed to me that she can finally breathe after feeling suffocated for so many years.
Roxy says she's working to create the Ziyah Rapid Response Recovery Team to help get answers and advocate for families with similar cases. Now, we may still find out where Ziyah's body is, as the Detroit Police Department issued a statement saying they're still committed to searches in hopes of finding Ziyah's body. Now, the Michigan Department of Corrections told us they couldn't say whether Butts had any cellmates, while the Michigan State Police continue their investigation. Live in studio, I'm Jack Springate, CBS News, Detroit.
All right, thank you, Jack. Of course, we'll keep following that story.
Judge Sabri called it a community failure. A man on the registry maintained access to multiple households for years. Ziyah's case involved at minimum 6 victims across roughly a decade. Predators exploit the silence. Belief in the worst is harder than confrontation. That is the systemic failure. Not a failure of law enforcement alone, but the silence that surrounds people we know. Ziyah Harris was 13. She had a family that loved her fiercely and refused to let her become a forgotten name. This video exists because they kept talking. If you know anything, please contact Detroit Police or NCMEC, case 2011-548. Let's talk about what we can all learn. Three things worth knowing. First, the Sex Offender Registry is public. You are allowed to look. Second, grooming looks like attention. Third, if a child is told to keep secrets from adults, that is the conversation to have. Children should not carry secrets on behalf of adults. Full stop. Jarvis Butts is dead. The legal case is closed. Ziyah Harris has not been found. Her family is still waiting. Friction point. We follow the evidence. If this story stayed with you, if you believe these cases deserve this level of documentation, please like and subscribe to support us for free. Tell one person about this channel. Cases like Ziyah exist because not enough people are paying close enough attention. We are paying attention. Come back in a few days for our next case.